Hello and welcome to the EV Loop podcast. I'm Adrian Maidment.
And I'm Riz and Adrain, your host.
This episode, new MG on the way, deals, chart of the week, and a special ticket offer. Okay, Riz, what are you driving this week? What have you been driving? What can you share thoughts on that's new?
So, two cars. One, last week I had the Hyundai Inster, which is a fun city electric hatchback that has been announced that's been revealed and released by Hyundai in Australia. I was driving the top spec version, which I didn't realize until I had the car for a couple of days, and I thought I'll check out the price of this vehicle. And it's sort of $46,000 before on-roads. It's a little bit on the steeper end, but you get quite a bit of tech with that for the money, including, sort of Hyundai's highway cruise control, which is pretty good, that you find in Ioniq 5, 6, and their other more premium vehicles. It's definitely turns heads, but it's a bit steep when it comes to the pricing front, so it's a expensive way to get noticed.
What's the starting price there? What are the variants?
So, starting prices are under $40,000. Then, of course, there's this top spec, which I had the Insta Cross, they call it. A bit more rugged looking. I also had it in that really dark green, which not many cars come in, so it does stand out a little bit more. Really, really sort of comfortable car on the inside. It's a bit quirky. They've used quite a few of their unique small city car quirks inside, but it is a spacious, roomy vehicle to be in. Given how small it is pretty efficient. It's not as wide as some other cars, quite narrow, sort of like a K car. So it's good when it comes to energy consumption.
Range, Riz. What about range?
Range, the odometer showed me over 350 kilometers from a pretty small battery. So it's under 50 kilowatt hours. It seems to be doing a pretty good job around the city. On highways, no dramas at all. You chuck it into cruise control. It's an electric car. It doesn't have any transmission that, blows its head off as it's trying to accelerate. Really zippy, very easy to get around with. And yeah, the only thing, of course, with a lot of the newer cars is there's quite a lot of warnings that you get when you're driving, such as if you go 1 kilometer over the speed limit. So if, those sort of things are something that get you, you can turn them off. Unfortunately, it's one by one. So every time you get in, you might have to do that. And driver distraction system, I think, is a little bit on the sensitive end as well. These are not things that can't easily be fixed, but, just very of the fact that they are there, and if you do get in one, make sure that you have a look through the settings to see what suits you best. But all in all, I was pretty impressed with it. And then this week, I've had the MG Motors IM brand, which is their more premium sports car, performance car sort of a brand, and I've got the top spec IM5. On paper, it's got crazy sort of specs, gets close to 400 kilowatts of DC charging if you can find the right charger. Has quite a lot of cool tech inside, very well packaged. It's one of those cars that, people look at it and people think either it's a Porsche Taycan or it's a Tesla Model S. Very sort of sleek looks when it comes to a large sedan. And the build quality, the materials are all really, really high class. Starting price for this car is under 60 grand for the base model. This is approaching around 80, which is the performance version. Put your foot down and it definitely pins you into the seat. Has all the comfort creatures, even its autonomous driving system that it has, of course, supervised. We've been talking about it. Quite easy to get used to. Quite a minimalist interior overall. It does have 3 screens. So, you do sort of spend a little bit of time trying to figure out what's on which screen. But once you get used to it, it's a pretty nice place to be in. Like the Hyundai, though, there are a couple of notifications, driver attention system, speed limit changes. All of those things can, have their own little warnings and notifications, which in this car, you can turn them off in one go if you really wanted to, which is pretty good. One thing I hope they change, and maybe it's something that I haven't gotten around to testing it myself yet, is every time you get back in the car, a whole lot of things reset, which, It's likely the fact that I don't have driver profile set up, but at the same time, I've been in some other cars where you don't set the driver profile. You get in, you make a change. Let's say, have your regen on high or seats at a certain location. It will remember it. Where this seems to make changes every time you get in and out of the car. Overall, though, all in all, a fantastic package for a car that's very tech driven. There's quite a lot of things that, any owner or people looking at test driving one will find quite unique. And yeah, I'm happy to see IM5 and IM6 in our market so quickly after it was sort of announced back in April. Cracker of a car, definitely worth test driving.
There's a new MG model on the way to Australia.
Yeah, Adrian, so we've just had approval of what's dubbed to be probably the most affordable electric hatchback in the market. Given what happened with the previous MG4, which was a huge success, has been the best-selling electric hatchback so far. Now we have reports of, obviously, the new MG4 coming in. A few tweaks in that, but it's been approved for sale in Australia by Infrastructure Australia, which means it's probably a couple of months away from getting people to be able to order one and hopefully get it delivered as well early next year.
And what's the styling differences?
It's a bit more rounded than the current generation of MG4, which I thought looked pretty good, pretty aggressive. So far, we've seen a lot of shots of it in camo being tested around Sydney. But I think sometimes seeing a car in person is a bit different to seeing pictures of it. Like I said, a bit more rounded. But then again, if you look at the pricing, that, is likely to come around about that $30,000, if we're lucky, even under $30,000, it's going to be a bit of a fleet-friendly bestseller.
And they're still keeping the original design, aren't they, for one version? I remember something about that.
Yeah, so they're still planning on keeping the rear-wheel drive as well, which is the current model. Maybe cutting a few variants out of it where this would fit in. This particular model comes in 2 battery packs that have been approved for sale, both of them powered by a front-wheel drive motor. The entry-level model has a 110 kilowatt motor with a 43 kilowatt hour battery pack, so one of the more smaller battery packs. And then you have a 54 kilowatt hour battery pack as well available in the sort of the upper spec of this new variant. Like I said, price will be everything. Obviously, with MG, you already get a 10-year warranty. You've got nearly 100 dealers across the country in Australia. And given their success with MG4, and they're already present in a lot of the major council and business fleets, I reckon this car is going to do really, really well as soon as it lands.
Deals, Riz. What's caught your attention in the deals space?
Well, Adrian, they're throwing money away. There's so many deals on at the moment. It's a bit crazy.
I know there's an Xpeng one. We'll start there.
Basically, the deposit of a car, which usually ranges between $500 to a couple of $1,000, depending on the car and the dealer you go to. They've dropped that from $1,000 to $99. So basically what they're saying to you, Adrian, is if you want to buy an Xpeng G6, give us $99 and you pay the rest when you pick the car up. That's pretty good when it comes to sort of encouraging people that may be sitting on the fence. Now, there's a couple of things worth noting. One, of course, is there is a new G6 that is getting closer and closer to the Australian market. We don't know the exact time of release, but we know last month they unveiled it in Thailand. So it's starting to come into right-hand drive markets as well. Moving on, I think we should look at a similarly sized car that's been selling a bit like hotcakes in the Australian EV market, and that's the BYD Sealion 7. Now, the BYD Sealion 7, it's already, I think it's the second best-selling car in 2025 when it comes to electric vehicles. Even outdoing the Tesla Model 3, we know sedans are a little bit soft in the market. Looking at where that stands, the second best-selling EV in the market. Now, I believe there's quite a bit of stock that's starting to build up. Our data is showing close to 5,000 of them entered the country in July. Through, our shipping data shows that, which means that they've got a little bit of stock on hold, which they need to try and get rid of. So what they're doing is they're giving away $2,000 cash your way, or cash back your way, if you buy Sealion 7, and I think get it delivered by the end of October. And so we're nearly at the end of September now, so quite a bit of incentive there. Then one of the surprising best sellers in 2025 has been the Geely EX5, thanks to its pricing as 2 variants, so makes it very simple for consumers to be able to choose from. And they've had a whole lot of different incentives that the dealers are providing, that the car brand itself is providing to help boost its sales, which did really well in June, July, but have still started to come down a little bit. And one of the incentives we saw was, I believe, a $2,000 cashback as part of a leasing offer. So if you lease one of those vehicles through one of the larger leasing companies or fleet management organizations, then you get $2,000 off the price of the car that the dealer will apply. So there's quite a bit of money being thrown around. So it's best to research, have a look at what's happening, and take one for a test drive, and you get a cracker of a deal.
Okay, Riz, chart of the week. What chart have you got this week?
So we have the uptake in probably one of the fastest growing regions as part of electric vehicle adoption around the country, and that is the capital, Canberra, and the territory it sits in, the Australian Capital Territory. They've been doing quite well, punching way above their weight when it comes to EV adoption. And as of sort of near the end of the third quarter in 2025, over 11,000 battery electric vehicles are now found in ACT. As I said, punching way above their weight, and they've always had quite a few policies over the last couple of years to help encourage that, whether it was through the registrations being a little bit cheaper, as well as a few other incentives to encourage the uptake of electric vehicles in Canberra. Of course, there is other elements as well, such as the charging infrastructure, which is growing in the territory. And, it's that flow-on effect when people see quite a few of the electric vehicles being driven around in their area, then they are more encouraged to go and take one for a test drive themselves. Another key thing, of course, specific to Canberra in some ways, small city, people don't drive as much as they would in some of the larger cities. Having said that, people might still travel between Sydney and Canberra, or some adventurous people might even travel between Canberra and Melbourne on a fairly regular basis. So keeping that in mind, there's plenty of chargers en route. Tesla just opened Goulburn, which is sort of in between Canberra and Sydney, the biggest site in the country. That's with 20 charging stations. So pretty busy thoroughfare. There's quite a few other larger sites along the way as well, between Sydney and Canberra, and likewise between Canberra and Melbourne as well. So those traveling with EVs, given the electric vehicle range has only grown over the last couple of years, and the EVs are becoming more efficient as well, a lot of Canberrans and people in ACT are making the switch to electric vehicles. As the prices are coming down, there's obviously more incentive as well for people to make the switch, and that means the more of electric vehicles that are on the road, the more free advertising electric vehicles get to people. So over 11,000 EVs, pretty good sort of score when it comes to EV adoption in ACT.
Events, Riz, what's coming up? Oh, and we've got a special deal. I can say promo code.
Oh, promo codes on, yeah. So a few events in the works. The first cab off the rank, of course, is the Sydney International EV Show, which is on from 30th of October till 2nd of November at ICC in Sydney, and that's what we have the deal for. Basically, a buy one, get one free offer at the moment. The link's in the description below. Should be a great show. Last year, they got over 30,000 people attend the ICC. It was one of the highest turnouts of any car show in recent years, and this year is expected to be bigger and better. There's a whole lot more models on our roads now, and plenty to see and plenty to learn as we get a lot of this new tech down under. So come and check it out. Links in the description. Plenty of talks happening as well, and loads of test drives. I'll be on the stage, moderating a few of the panels, as well as fireside chats and keynotes that are happening at the same time. We've got some amazing people sharing their insights on various different topics. The program is already up on the Sydney International EV Show's website, so come and check it out.
That's good. Anything else, other events, Riz, without promo codes?
Yeah, so without promo codes, there's a few things starting to happen. We've also got the Australian Electric Vehicle Association's conference on, which Australian Electric Vehicle Association represents thousands of electric vehicle owners that are members, generally volunteers as well. And every year we put on a conference to help advance the adoption of electric vehicles and to bring industry along as well. So that is happening on the 13th of November in Melbourne at Victoria University in Footscray. Then the day after, we have the Everything Electric show running for 3 days at the Melbourne Showgrounds. And that would pretty much sort of wrap it for events for the year.
Any car loop news, vibe news?
Yeah, so we're, quite a few things sort of happening, always in the works. There's a fair few car launches coming up where I get to go and learn a lot about what those cars are all about, but also from their, executive teams on what's happening in the space. So a lot of the, existing brands, new brands, so much happening in our space, which is pretty exciting. And then, of course, we can see them all at the Sydney International EV Show and as well as Everything Electric. That aside, car loop-wise, we are obviously still working through ensuring that our platform that is going to help Australia transition towards EVs, particularly for governments and companies, we're working on finalizing that so we can launch it a bit later this year. So there's a bit of excitement around that. We're working on the charging infrastructure report as well, which gives you a lay of the land of where things are happening when it comes to charging infrastructure, who are the big players, what are some of the things to watch out for when planning for fast charging infrastructure rollout across the country. So we will be launching our Q3 update in a couple of weeks' time. And yeah, pretty busy till the end of this year. If anyone's interested, come and see me at our shows. And yeah, always happy to say hi and, learn off each other. When it comes to the vibes, so we mentioned last week that of course there's a target that's sort of in place now for 2035 to reduce our emissions. That seems to have started the conversation, but I think there's a lot more work that needs to be done by business, corporates, governments, individuals like us. So yeah, definitely a lot more momentum and shift towards electric vehicles. We also, of course, have touched on I wouldn't go as far as calling it a price war yet, but there's a lot of incentives and discounts on at the moment. So, I think it's encouraging people to really think about their next vehicle being an electric car. So all in all, pretty exciting stuff. And there's a lot of work to be done, but I think it's starting to happen and I don't think we'll be turning back.